And so you give your KPIs. Remember, it's 055 on WhatsApp. Plus 233 55 That's it for the WhatsApp line as we get into the conversations this afternoon. Kujua Dimensa is an experienced and seasoned pundit, a football columnist and CEO of Data Bank, and a sworn supporter of Liverpool. Also loves his Formula One to bits, but always likes to keep it very, very simple and free-flowing. Of course, Benedict Owusu will be joining us from a distance. Same as Morris Kwanzaa, who's the immediate past Vice President of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana, editor of Graphic Sports, Online and Physical. And the rest of you, airing your views on the show. My name is Nathaniel Attoh. As usual, backed by the rest of the Joy Sports team, we're going to bring you into this as we get thicker and thicker into what we're offering to you this World Cup season. Afternoon. Remember 055 There are those who believe that the man Carlos Queiroz could be the differentiating factor. There are those who also think, you know what, we've lost the plot. Let's just go, let's just participate, and let's just return home. What do you have to say about this? Well, we've got bites from, during the week. Very important bites from the presser as well, for all of us to meditate on as we get into this conversation between now and 2 p.m. And it will be obvious that we'll dedicate today's show to the Chief of Staff, Dr. Julius Deborah. 60 years old. Oh my goodness. You do remember him when he took those penalties at the Joy Sports Invitational Tournament as a guest of honor, right? Dr. Julius Deborah, Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana. Happy 60th birthday to you. He's concerned about the Black Stars. Everybody's concerned about the Black Stars. So, some messages and we get straight into the conversations right here.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Ghana, ready for the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026. This year, we are swagging it up to the next level. Wear your favorite team jersey and meet us at the VSC Social Center from 10 a.m. to late. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th May 2026, and get ready for lots of fun, entertainment, and amazing prizes to be won starting from 10 a.m. till the climax of the UEFA Champions League finale match in grand style. Experience the sports quiz, soccer tournament, the Champions League anthem competition, and many more. The Hits FM Rep Your Jersey 2026 is powered by Joy Sports with support from Joy Prime, Joy News, Joy FM, and MyJoyOnline.com, and proudly sponsored by TCL, Inspire Greatness, Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuel for all. Soccer Bet, your best bet for sports betting. Didi Shito, Efie DNA, Twisco Chocolate Food Drink, power your dream. Ashesi University, educating the next generation of ethical and entrepreneurial leadership for Africa. Franco Trading Enterprise, Seal, Phone Papa Pafie, DSTV, feel every moment.
The
World Cup is coming. And this time, you're not just watching it, you're living it. Match Experience Hospitality is giving you front row access to football's biggest stage in absolute style. Think VIP stadium seating, exclusive lounges, gourmet dining, and priority access. No stress, no hassle, just pure football luxury. This isn't just a ticket. This is the World Cup experience. With over a decade as an official FIFA sales agent, Match Experience Hospitality knows exactly how to turn a match into a lifetime memory. So upgrade your World Cup. Call 055-155-1119. Visit matchexphospitality.com or walk into any Absa Bank branch, our official banking partner, today. Match Experience Hospitality. Don't just watch the game, live it. Much Experience Hospitality is doing this with Absa Bank as its official banking partner and Glyco as your official travel insurance partner.
If you take this too serious, then you really need some church.
Since I arrived, I started feeling that this is the soul of the Black Stars. Yesterday, I saw and I feel the vibration, and I start to realize that the soul of the Black Stars is huge. It is huge. So that means that our dream and expectations are also huge. I must say that after 8 national teams and a couple of important competitions, this is the biggest challenge of all my entire career. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I can promise and guarantee to you that I will bring 40 years of my knowledge and experience to every single decision of life. I am a coach, you can see my CV, that fortunately with the help of God and my players, I have a symbolic record of wins in the game in terms of international games. And in a humble way, I can say I feel good on that. So I trust.
This is his real home, and and we are going to benefit heavily from him. Like the saying goes, the old wine tastes the best. He has gathered experience all over, as he told me himself. Many years of experience will now be put at the benefit of what? The great Black Star of Ghana. And so we are so lucky to have such an experienced coach, not just at the club level, but at the national level.
I see she get the thing them from baby shop.
All right, so we've heard some of the sound bites. Later on, we'll be hearing from the fans and what they had to say. You know me and my music, to spice things up and just, help all of us to relax. For these conversations that sometimes can get the better part of your emotions. And so the gentlemen are ready to join us here. Unfortunately, today we don't have a lady amongst us. Well, would do that. Would do better next time. Yeah? All right. So let's begin with you, Benedict. We're finally here. Work begins. Yesterday, Coach Carlos Queiroz and his backroom staff went to view a training session of the Black Galaxies, which is the home-based team, of the Black Stars. We're here. First of all, there's been some, conversations starting off around the backroom staff and the fact that the Paintils and the Fatau Dauders and the like have all been maintained. How did you react to all of this, Benedict?
Well, Nat, thank you very much. And greetings to my boss, Kojo.
We are going to sack slots, don't worry.
We have to. Charlie, the guy that stressed me.
I've told you we'll meet at Unveiled L4 on 31st May before we fly to US. We are going to sack slots.
We have to sack the guy. We have to sack the guy. All right, but Nat, so on Carlos Queiroz, I think probably maybe if I would start from his press conference and everything he said, and then I would dovetail it into the backroom stuff and everything. So I think for me, I like him. I was sold after listening to him on was it Thursday, convincing answers to the questions that were asked, and this of course comes from the years of experience as a coach, having coached Real Madrid, the assistant coach to Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Egypt, and the rest of the teams that he's been to, and also like having been to the World Cup on numerous occasions. So clearly, you could see the experience. I mean, in the responses to the answers that were to the questions that were asked, and he's all about winning. And when he was asked about his philosophy, whether he's a defensive or offensive coach, he said he's all about winning. And clearly, you could tell the difference between him and our last coach, Otuado, in terms of handling himself with the media. We've had instances where Otuado didn't really handle himself well with the media. Certain responses to questions that were asked were not great. And I mean, I did something yesterday on social media that a lot of people have called me out that man, I shouldn't be doing things like that. And so for me, Carlos Queiroz, based on a press conference, he inspired confidence. One you definitely would need in our current situation. I think largely the reception at the airport and the event leading to the presser certainly will give him an idea of where he has come, the place he has come, and I'm glad he actually noted that. I think he also played it that this certainly will be the biggest challenge in his over 30 years as a coach. So on that score, I think that we have a good coach in charge of our team going into the World Cup. You need that experience, especially with the timing. You don't need someone who will come in and will be jittery. You don't need someone who will come in and wouldn't know what he's about and what he certainly has to do. But clearly, you could see that he's so clear in his mind what he wants to do, where he wants to take this team. Yes, some people will say, yeah, it's just talk, but of course, you need some of these things to guide you to sort of like, as I mentioned earlier, to inspire your confidence in a team. And I think he's that person who certainly brings that at this point in time, because where we're very very low in terms of confidence. People don't have confidence at all in this team. So if you have a coach who comes in and hits all the right notes, at the right time, is very crucial and very important. I would have loved to hear more about players in terms of how he's going to make his collapse, because yes, all the things about the team and leading to his appointment and all of that were great. They were amazing. But I'd have loved to hear about since this is sort of like very short time, very short period, how he was going to go about in terms of his collapse and all of that. Because one thing that we can't run away from, which of course the FA president has also not come out to renege or to retract the statement about during his time, there will not be any single person who will be responsible to name, a squad. I would have loved to hear any of our colleagues ask him if he's solely going to be responsible for the collapse, for this very World Cup, or he will be open to the idea that we'll have a team, or we have a body in the executive council or whichever committee may be, to scrutinize his squad, because of course he's an experienced person. He's worked all over 30 years of coaching experience. So I would have loved to hear that aspect from him if he's going to allow something like that, because
All right, we'll try to reestablish contact with Benedict, but point pretty well made, Kojo, and he says it. Look, the man has been honest that this is a very very complex puzzle. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And because of this, you realize some have, thrown their hands in the air already about Ghana at the World Cup.
Oh no! I mean, throwing up hands in the air is not right. I am still extremely worried. I think last week I had the privilege of being on air again, and my biggest concern, was the lack of kudos. That is my biggest worry, irrespective of who was going to be the coach of the team. Not having kudos in the team is our biggest people don't like to use the word problem, but it's our biggest problem. Kudus is our best player by a mile. In the last World Cup, Kudus, 2 goals, 1 assist. Any coach, irrespective of stature, experience, without Kudus in the Black Stars, has a problem. And we need to figure out how we are going to deal with the lack of Kudus. He's not replaceable. I know in corporate governance parlance, we say nobody is irreplaceable. We say it. But in this current Black Star squad, Kudus is not replaceable. And any coach going to the World Cup without Kudus has a problem. So we need to acknowledge that. We need to accept that. And we need to figure out how to deal with that. I think Carlos, knowing that he doesn't have Kudus right from the get-go, is an advantage to him. So he will now be able to figure out what I do and how I tweak without Kudus. We all know he coached Egypt in whatever year it was. Went into his first game, lost miserably, and then figured that, hey, I need to change course, and got to the final with Egypt. So he has proven historically, even though your CV is as good as your last job, he's proven historically that he's able to read a situation and adapt. And currently, he has to adapt without Kudus. I mean,
does he also solve the problem of the discipline, the kind of discipline we're looking for, where the coach is fully in charge of the dressing room? Because one of the biggest criticisms that have come over the period is that manager after manager, at least if not to go too far, the last 3 managers of the Black Stars have not exactly had
I'm quite
full
surprised. I'm not sure what adjective I should use, but I get disappointed that the issue of discipline comes up. One of Attoh's advantages, trump cards, positives, was discipline. When Attoh was handling the team in Qatar, as we say in Ghana, who born dog? You've got to be at breakfast time. You've got to be in. Look, you are in the bus 5 minutes after the time you should be boarding the bus. You are late. Discipline. Attoh proved his Germanship. The German in him showed fully in Qatar. Like, you've got to be at training at this time. Nobody is supposed to come down into the lobby at this time. Everybody in their rooms at this time. And he proved it in Qatar. It was there. The discipline was there. He had it. But then for some inexplicable reason, from the information I have, it looked like he was losing that discipline. Look, German trained guy with Bubuashi experience. That was him. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Because the information I have during our last 2 friendlies, Austria, Germany, was that hell broke loose again. We were back to the Black Star camp where you enter the lobby of the Black Star Hotel and everybody and anybody was there, people climbing up, sending food, descending. And I'm like, is this Attoh's team? Really? Is this what I'm hearing? I wasn't there. So then it made the issue of discipline come up again. And I was like, where is the German-born Attoh? Where is my Dortmund Attoh? What has gone wrong to bring the issue of discipline back into the conversation? Because that conversation vanished in Qatar. You dare not flout an Attoh instruction as to breakfast time, training time, bus boarding time, sleeping time. It was there. But suddenly it was gone. And I mean, I don't have his permission, but I don't think he'll be too phased about it. But Eli Condor, who was at the 2 friendlies, said, I was in Germany and I visited both camps. Elikondo said he was in the Ghana camp, and there was chaos. People going in, coming out, climbing up, descending. And then he said, no, let me go to the German camp and see what's going on there. Even though they were in their home country, on the outskirts of, where did we play? Stuttgart? On outskirts of whichever city it is we played, he got there serenity, discipline, calm, focus. That is what one would have expected in a Ghana camp. We didn't have that. So I'm like, why? Attoh, where did you get it wrong? What happened? And you've been in teams that you know that 24 hours to a game is total blackout. It didn't seem like we had it. Unless he didn't take the friendlies as seriously. Because Attoh lost all his friendlies, literally. So maybe he wasn't taking his friendlies as seriously as he should. But that was his bane. That was his undoing.
So Queiroz, obviously a tough,
he
proven
must.
tough
He must.
mind.
He must.
Who's
Listen,
bringing,
he must. And his track record, you see, Attoh had a track record, but he didn't fulfill it. Queiroz also has a track record because you know what? He qualified South Africa to the World Cup. Do people remember? He qualified South Africa to the World Cup, but Jomo Somo was the one on the bench. Why did that happen? Let me remind listeners. Because he had an altercation with Safa. Safa wanted to interfere somewhat. Carlos wouldn't have any of that. And I can bet. People point to his age, 72, 73. Maybe he's tired. He's not as fiery. But I don't think Carlos has changed in that respect. The discipline will be there. So, Nat, I believe that the discipline will be there. I'm quite disappointed that Attoh lost it. Seemingly lost it. For somebody who was so spot on in Qatar. And I mean, he's the only Ghanaian coach to have picked 3 points at a World Cup. That's what the data says.
Yeah.
Based on the same discipline that he supposedly had. Even against Portugal, we could have done better.
Well, so going forward, and Benedict, I'll put this to your thoughts because you've also seen these camp situations quite a bit. There's supposed to be a certain minimum for professional players to know, what to do at which time and all of that. So irrespective of whether there's a manager who sticks to the letter or, or the other, you do things right. And like they say, you do it right whether or not someone else is looking. So it also boils down to those who get the opportunity to be called up to the national team, isn't it, Benedict?
Oh,
all right. We seem to be.
Off again.
Yeah,
He was on.
yeah.
He
all
was
right.
on.
Yeah, sure. All
Okay,
right,
so I have a counter on my Kudus comment, as in his irreplaceability. And okay, let's get Benedict before
it is here. Yo, Benedict. So I was just asking about, having the minimum, which is personal values and personal, standards, so that you're in camp, that you need the rest, you need the focus. So whether or not you have a coach who's doing that, there should be a basic and a minimum, which should be a standard, for every player who gets the opportunity.
Absolutely, and I'm so sorry about the network, but that's why it's a national team, and these things are set, and these things should be there even before you think about a coach, because you go to certain places, and mostly we always want to make reference to teams like England and the Germans and all of that, because if you look at the English team, there are certain values and certain principles that are already set that you don't need a coach to come in to sort of like make these rules and principles, because those are things that you expect from professional players, people that are coming in. Of course, if you're a professional player, you wouldn't expect the coach to tell you to sleep at 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. You know what is good for your body. You know what you have to do as a professional player to be able to go out there and perform very well. So these are basic things that, players that are called into our national teams should know, that it shouldn't be for the coach to set all these things. Because one, I believe Carlos Queiroz is not the one going to teach Mohamed Kudus and Antoine Semenyo how to pass the ball. No, he's not going to do that. He's not going to teach all these players, the basics. It's just about putting them together as a team and getting what he believes it will be a very good principle in terms of how he wants the team to play and what he wants the team to do at the tournament. But for the rest of the things and the other things, these are basic things that players, of course, should be able to handle themselves and should be able to do whenever they are given the opportunity to join the national team. I don't know if you remember some time back, there was this idea of having a code of conduct for players that join the national team. These are things that honestly I don't even subscribe to, that there has to be a code of conduct and all of that, because these players must know and understand what is expected of them at the national team level. You're not putting together kids that are probably maybe 8, 7 that do not know what they have to do. These are guys that understand and know what exactly is expected from them, because they see this, aside from it being different from probably maybe their clubs and all of that, this is a amalgamation of different characters from different places. And of course, being a professional player playing in a big club in Europe or wherever you find yourself playing, you must understand the bare minimum of things that are expected from you as a professional player to be able to play very well. You wouldn't need coaches to come in. So in terms of that, I think Carlos Queiroz will not have much to do, because probably people will say is the timing and all of that. It's just a bare minimum of things that we expect from players going into a major tournament like the World Cup.
Bare minimum indeed. So now the man has hit the ground running, and as I said earlier, he's had to monitor training, and Kojo Addae has set the tone for the kind of vacuum we have, because we do not have the services of Kudus Mohammed, and as the situation stands, we will not have him for the World Cup, and so now we need to start looking around. That makes the job a little complex, Benedict.
It does make it a little complex, but this is also not a time for him to be doing, to be going around looking at players as if like he's building a new team going into a tournament. I mean, the timing does not favor him at all. And I believe and I think that the assembling of the local Black Stars or the Black Galaxies is a good idea, right? It's a wonderful idea. But then again, I don't think Carlos Queiroz would take much out of that. Probably maybe he's going to look at 5 or 7 players from the local Black Stars, probably maybe 1 or 2. We already have Benjamin Asari in there. I don't think that based on Kudus Mohammed's probably maybe anticipated absence at the World Cup, it's not confirmed that he will miss the World Cup. All that we know is that he's out of the rest of the season, and the season ends next month. So probably maybe we still have some few weeks. But on a personal level, even if he comes back fit, I don't think it will be appropriate to take him to the World Cup, because one, he will lack much fitness. He hasn't played since January, and that's way too long a time to bring in a player, although we know his quality and everything. But it will not make sense to risk a player who hasn't played for that long, because the match fitness will not be there. I know very well and I understand his qualities as a player, but then again, we also have to think more about the player. Don't put him in there, when he has just recovered from an injury, if indeed he will be fit to be able to get into the squad. So I don't think that the assembling of the local Black Stars will do much, because there is no time. He's not here to build a team at this point in time. He's here to just pick up a squad that will be able to participate well. If it was on a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract that he has to build a team, of course, yes, that you will see. But I believe, and he mentioned something similar, that he's been watching, games, few games of Otto and all of that. Yeah, that's what he has to do. So he will have an idea of who to pick and who to leave out, but not to essentially make wholesale changes going into the World Cup, because these are the players we have. The last call-up that Otto made, just except few players that couldn't make it, but largely 95% of the players that Otto called in the last team definitely will find their way in his team. So I don't think that we should expect to see a lot of outsiders from the previous squad or previous call-ups that we saw from Otto. I think that he will go largely with a lot of them.
Okay, so that's how it's sounding like from Benedict's end. Says that look, the reality is that we shouldn't really go around at this time. It may bring a certain level of dilution and confusion. All right, so let's take a listen to what the fans also said. Regarding what they also want to see in a bit.
As national team. We are hope to see more better improvement in the national team. But one thing that I want to express my opinion is the right back and the attacking midfielders. We don't have none of them. So if you can improve on that one and give us a false nine, that can help us to score more goals so that we can improve better than the other national teams that are coming. I'll be happy with it.
If we've received him, Ghana people accept him as a new coach, and we are expecting good thing from him. As compared to the previous coach, we want to see something better from him.
Okay, we win one turnable because players are better no. Yeah, me I'm a Ghanaian. Ya kwa weka better as a four. Meti makase win team a West. Yeah. Team enyini. Germany 2006. Ni team ne ye. South Africa ne ye. Even ye kwa Brazil kra ne ye kakra. Wohwe ma kata na nye papa. But kata no kra ye che this year team. And to one turnable because team are to players are better no. So me a good players na we do and say we here win fine better was it.
You know, why you do? It's a new class panel. What coaches various teams. Wow. It's want to be fire to a because we knew from beginning or knew more. Wow. It is a better coach here. A say a coach or no new players, say where coffee, where Kwame. Wow. Na kopasa obodia dabia oboji sika akesi eti se u club ni die u fa no coach now odisa sika akesi no bia enye.
That is his first time to coach Blaster, so Blaster Gasado, they will give him they will do a selection for him. You understand? Yeah, they will do a selection for him. But when maybe he do his decision that he alone is going to do it, that one is going to be cool.
The fans and the fans.
Nat, I think one fan made a fantastic point about this team being the worst as compared to the previous World Cup squads. Spot on, because you look at the squad that were presented in 2006, 2010, 2014, even when we had our issues. And 2010 probably for me was the best ever squad we could have assembled at the World Cup, if not for the off-field issues we had. That team, I honestly believe that team could have gone all the way, 14. Especially looking at how well they played against Germany, could have gone all the way in the World Cup, bar all the off-field issues we had. And the 2022 team, currently, if you look at our statistics, it's terribly bad. Having in the last few tournaments, we've only won two games. One at the World Cup and one at the AFCON. The World Cup, I remember we beat South Korea in Qatar, and then at the Africa Cup of Nations, with Ivory Coast, we also won one game there. So it's been terrible, and we don't have the kind of squad. That's why every time when I hear authorities and leaders say we're going to win the World Cup, like what the minister said some time back, that before Tuado got sacked, that we have the team to win the World Cup. I'm like, please, who are you gaslighting? Let's be very real with ourselves. How do you look at the current team we have and say we're going to win the World Cup? It's never. It will take a miracle. It will take a miracle for us to get there and do that. Yes, miracles do happen in football, but if you look at what we have on paper, probably I've been doing a lot of watch on Panama. Even Panama will be very difficult to beat. If you look at what we have on paper, Panama people sometimes
they beat
look at
South
Panama
Africa
and think that Panama will just be a walkover. Not. If you watch Panama and how well they play, we need to have everything. We need to really, really look at Panama as fans and as people that follow football, and not think that, oh, because it's Panama and it's our first game, we're just going to win and we will not even look at Panama. If you look at what we have in terms of players on paper with England and Croatia, we should not even qualify to play with them. But this is football, so it's very, very important that we are measured in terms of our expectations. That's why I'm so happy that so far I've not had any unrealistic target set for Carlos Queiroz from the Football Association point of view and also from the government point of view. It should be go and do all like we did with Avram Grant. Let's not set any unrealistic target that we want to get to the semi-finals. We want to get, because we don't have what it takes to get to the semi-finals on paper. Yes, it's a tournament. Anything can happen. Tournament football is always different and all of that. But if you look at what we have on paper, we don't have what it takes to get to that level. So I'm so happy that, one, we've not set any unrealistic targets for the coach. What I will encourage we do is communicate well with what we really want out of this tournament, right? Let's just go and do well. We know where we are coming from in terms of our trajectory in the last few games, that we are not up there yet. We all saw what we did against Austria. We also saw what happened in our game against Germany. And these are the level that we are going to face, all right? So if we communicate well and let people understand that it's just the go and do well, which the previous football administration did very well when they brought in Avram Grant. We all bought into that idea that, oh, we've been told we're going to do well. So when we got to the finals, we even exceeded the expectations. I remember very well that even after we failed to win the AFCON 2015, people did not have a lot of issues that much, because the expectation was not to go and win. The expectation was to go and do well. And I think that should be the same communication to put out there in this short period, that we don't set unrealistic targets and we are always measured in what we are putting out in the public, because we don't have the squad to do that. And one more thing that Nat I'll add is that if Carlos Queiroz, despite him inspiring confidence and saying all the right things, go to the World Cup and fails, and we are not able to qualify out of the group, I will not put too much blame on him. The reason why I will not put too much blame on him is that we had a chance to let Attoh go, to bring in someone, but we delayed. And now this is where we are. Attoh should have been sacked long before, after he failed to qualify for the AFCON. So if you had brought in someone in a capacity or in a caliber of Carlos Queiroz and had qualified us for the World Cup and stayed on till now, then ideally you have, if he goes and things doesn't go well, you could point fingers at him. But at this point, with the time that we have and what he has to do, he's literally going to play 2 friendly matches, and I hear the Football Association is trying to organize or look for a 3rd friendly before our first game against Panama at the World Cup. 3 friendly matches, or 2 technically as we have now. That's not enough for a coach to be able to get his message across. It will be quite difficult. So all the communication and everything has to be right, and we have to get the people to buy into it in the last few weeks, days we have going into the World Cup. If we do that and we go and things don't go well, I'm sure people will not be too hardened in terms of their reaction to the team, and we may all take it like that and look forward into the future, because I feel that with the assembling that we're gradually bringing together in terms of the players, the future definitely looks bright. All we need is have someone who understands and how to put players together, someone who will be able to bring his experience and help us navigate these muddier waters that we've been navigating in the last few years.
13 past 1 p.m. here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, which is also live on YouTube. And remember, your messages are very welcome. It's 055 1111997. 055 1111997. Greetings to engineer Michael Ajajan, aka Globus. They're also listening.
Yeah,
the message he sent me was very, very deep and had a lot of meaning, loads and loads of thoughts around the Black Stars, yeah. But another one from Chief Larry says, my brother Kojo is really on the ground, pa. There's too much funfair around the team. Honestly, we are not focused. I witnessed the 2014 World Cup, and it appears we haven't learned anything. Yeah. Okay, thanks so much for the thoughts right there. I want us to get into the conversation about happenings in England, specifically with our captain Jordan Ayew and Abdul Fattah Issahaku. Now, the relegation from the championship to a lower tier in football, and what kind of ripple effect that is, if there is any at all, it would have. Remember, we're talking about those who can hold the fort and just make things happen for Ghana if Ghana does have the chance at this upcoming FIFA World Cup. We're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Now we get into the conversation about these two key players. I mean, we're talking about playmakers. We're talking about those who are relevant and would make meaning contributions to the World Cup on any day. And definitely, Jordan Ayew is a bundle of experience and performance, and the man who shows up for important moments, just like his elder brother did. Abdul Fattah Issahaku, similar energy. And now they have to also deal with, relegation and projecting for the summer transfer window, of which the World Cup will play a key role.
That's why Sunny.
I see. Tell me about it. Come on, me.
Where's Sanagbo? We have a problem. A lot of people may try to downplay the situation we have at hand, but the mere fact that as individual players at this point in time, if it wasn't a World Cup year, no big deal. But we are in a World Cup year. I see Benedict nodding. We are in a World Cup year. So there's the complexity of, okay, my club has been relegated not from the EPL to the Championship, but from the Championship to the League One. And I have to figure out with my agent how we try and deal with what happens next to my career in the summer. So the summer would have been fully focused on what happens next to my career, right? But we have the added complexity of the World Cup. And the two of us, at least from the last manager or the last coach of the national team, these two were literally starters. One being the captain of the team. So where does the focus, the concentration and everything lie? Where does it lie? As an individual, am I going to think about my individual next step? What happens next? Because all negotiations are happening in May, June. July, we are doing preseason. I don't know if this tournament even still happens, Intertoto. But back in the day, you'll be having Intertoto Cup in July. And then by August, season has kicked off. These days, it's full preseason in July. So the moment the World Cup is over, we are going to preseason. Liverpool usually would go into Asia. Some go into the US. By mid-August, season is starting. So where is my brain? Where is my brain? Is my brain at my national team, or is my brain at my next career move? You know? And yes, we are focusing on Jordan and Fattah Issahaku because they're playing in England, and whether we like it or not, the English league from Premiership, Championship, League One. Benedict, you're in the UK, right? The Rochdale-York game today, Rochdale-York, I think it's today, is actually the biggest game of today in the whole of the UK. And this is the National League to determine who comes into something, League 2 or something like that. So I'm just trying to say that the enormity of the English game and the fact that these guys are relegated and need to think about what happens next. If they want to just relax and say, okay, look, we are staying with Leicester, we are still going to League One, let's go focus on national team, that's not a problem. But if it is, I'm too big for the League One and I need to figure out getting a club either in the Championship or in the Premier League or on the continent. And when I say on the continent, that means Spain, France, Belgium, Holland, Turkey, even. Where is their mind? Where is their brain? For me, it's a big worry. And even psychologically for our captain. Psychologically for our captain. It worries me a lot because look, this is his 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth relegation. He's been relegated from Sochaux. He's been relegated from Lorraine. He's been relegated from Aston Villa. He's been relegated from Swansea. And now he's being relegated from Leicester. It's a problem. Maybe listeners out there may disagree with me. But psychologically, you walk into your dressing room as captain and your colleagues are looking at you as, Charlie, your CV is as good as your last game. What's your last game? Relegation. Your CV is as good as your last game. And what is your last game? Relegation. Your other teammates haven't been relegated. They have not been relegated. Even if they are not firing, they have not been relegated. So I think we have a problem where the psychologist of the team, or if it's not the psychologist, then this 40-year experienced 72-year-old man must sit down with the two of them and let them understand that relegation that they have experienced should be put aside. The focus is the World Cup. The focus is the national team. And they have serious games to play ahead of them. But we can't just put it aside. We can't. Because if they don't do anything about their individual career, and they just focus on the World Cup, and we go. And after the World Cup, let's say even we get as far as July. It means they come back, and they have only 2 weeks to fix. Look, it can't be ignored. It cannot be ignored. I wish they had not been relegated, but it cannot be ignored. But the bigger picture is, look, football, 10 years after they won the EPL, Leicester are in League One. Can you imagine this? They are in League One. But those of you who are old enough will know that it has happened to Blackpool. It has happened to Blackburn Rovers. It's happened, there are countless examples of one-offs. Leeds, after David O'Leary messed up Leeds big time. And then they went down. Thankfully, they are back. But for me, the important thing is the psyche of our captain. Fatai Shako, I think, will handle it, but the psyche of our captain. As a captain, you walk into a dressing room and your CV is that you've been relegated 5 or 6 times. That's not cool. You need somebody to really psych him up and lead us into the
So away from Jordan and Isaaku, we would have to visit Thomas Partey a bit as well, because yesterday I was in a conversation. And it came up that so if we don't have a Kudus, who else is the man who on a good day?
No. Partey is not going to be the man.
Okay, so we'll get into that conversation here on the Joy Sports Link. All of it coming up. So we're all talking about the World Cup. Well, if you want to meet Kojo Adai-Mensah outside of Ghana during the summer break, then you definitely do know that you are catching him somewhere in the US or Canada.
Obviously.
And so all you need to just do is visit Adansi Travels at their home, or visit www.adansitravels.com. And it's amazing. Once you get on the packages, look at what is included. Hotel accommodation, which varies by package. So, obviously, what you pay also gets has your visa fees included. Full visa assistance from Adansi's dedicated team. Guided city tours in all the package cities. Match day transport to and from the stadium. Intercity coach transfers. travel insurance coverage, daily breakfast at the hotel, complimentary bus travel prepaid Visa card, complimentary eSIM with unlimited data, and my tickets for all Ghana group stage games. And all of these vary by package. So you know what you just need to do? Call 0595 500817 or 053 101 1617. Yeah, you know that office, right? The office is on the Bawalishi Road. You can't miss it. Yeah. So that's it, Travels, giving you that amazing, set of packages for the FIFA World Cup. Make sure you're part of it so that we can continue these conversations there, because they will never ever end. All right, so we're talking about, those who can provide that, support. And of course, it always boils down to experience and the stages that some of these players have stood on. And then, unfortunately, Partey also has quite a bit to deal with psychologically because of the cases in court, the alleged rape, and also the recent issue about him, patronizing watches from a source that, it was dealing in replicated brands or fake brands. So that also then becomes a very big, so he needs a lot of self-motivation, isn't it, Benedict?
Well, not. I mean, just to probably maybe add a bit to what Kojo said regarding Jordan and Fatau Isaku, and then I will add Thomas Partey to it. I think with Jordan and Fatau Isaku's situation, it's Kojo has rightly said it. What makes it worse for me in a Leicester point of view is the fact that this happened back to back. So relegation from the Premier League to the Championship, and then the following year you're going down to the League One, which is terrible. I mean, you look at what they've spent in terms of how they've modeled the club since the Kempa guys took over, having built a training center which cost over 87 million, and you're going to use that in League One. And I've seen people make fun of how on a typical Saturday they will go to Bromley or something like that, which does not even boast of £5 million center, but you have the Kempa Stadium that you're going to use it for such a league, a third tier league in English football. On a Leicester point of view, that's very, very terrible for them and for our players. In everything that Kojo has said, the positives that I want to look at for Jordan and Fatau Isaku is the fact that they have a major tournament in a World Cup to turn their situations around. We've seen on numerous occasions how players have used the World Cup as a launch pad for their careers. James Rodriguez at Colombia, we all saw how well he did in previous World Cups, which got him his dream move to Real Madrid. And so for someone like Jordan, who is not new to this competition, yes, the bit about the commentary, he's coming from the leader of the team, is coming from a relegated team to the League One, is there. That is not going to go away, especially when you're going to play against England. They're going to hit on it. They will hit on it every minute and every opportunity they get to remind you of where you are currently in terms of your club football, and they will do the same to Abdul Fattah Issahaku. But for Jordan, and with his experience at the World Cup, having been there before, I don't think Jordan will need a reminder that this tournament could be a defining moment for him in terms of getting out of Leicester City, because I honestly don't and wouldn't be happy to see our captain after the World Cup playing in the third tier of English football. We've always had issues with previous coaches calling players at that level, and it will not be right for us to have our captain of the national team play at that at that level of English football. So Jordan definitely will know, and as I said, he does not need a reminder from us that the World Cup could be a launch pad to get something bigger, probably maybe get back into the Championship, or who knows, he has the experience of playing in a Premier League, so he could get an opportunity to come into the Premier League with one of the newly promoted teams, or probably move to a different part of Europe to play competitive and top flight football, not play in a lower tier of any, European league. And I think same for Abdul Fattah Issahaku as well, that these players will take that opportunity at the World Cup. But now what makes it worse is not only Jordan and Abdul Fattah Issahaku. There are also other three players that risk relegation in the French league. Elisha Owusu, who consistently has been getting call-ups and I believe will get call-up to the World Cup, as well as Gideon Mensah left back. And then the young man that recently was called by Otoado but did not really see much of him, Marvin Senaya. You remember Marvin Senaya, who
yes,
had
of course,
choose between Togo and Ghana, and he decided to go with Ghana. He's also at Auxerre. Auxerre risk relegation because they are bottom, they are last but one on the league table, which means if they lose their game this weekend, they probably will also be relegated from the French league. So it's not good for our players. But as I said, they can look at the positive of going into the World Cup as a place where they will go and exhibit. That could also be a motivational factor because I mean, I'm not a psychologist and I've never tried to become one, but I know probably maybe when you're speaking to these players and wanting to motivate them, you could use the tournament as yes, you're down in terms of your club career, but this is a perfect opportunity. This is a global stage where everyone is going to watch, that you could go out there and give massive performance that will help you in securing a club in the summer. Because after the World Cup, yes, clubs would have started, some would have started preseason, because I know Liverpool is starting preseason right after the World Cup somewhere in July in the US. But clubs will still be buying players, because the transfer window will end somewhere ending of August or somewhere August, and still there will be time. And so I just believe and hope that these players will use that opportunity they are going to get, that global stage they are going to get, to exhibit themselves out there, to be able to move away from these clubs, because it wouldn't be nice to have five of our key players that very well, bar injuries, they will always will make the national team squad playing in lower tier leagues. That will not speak well of us as a national team, as Black Stars. And talk of Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey's issue is a bit, that aside from the off-field issues, let's not lose sight of what is happening on field as well. He's also not getting much playing time at his club. And we've heard his coach, Thomas Partey, they knew, or we all knew at Arsenal, is not the same player he's seeing at Villarreal. So aside from everything that is happening off-field, on-field as well, he's not getting much playing time. And that makes it very serious in our situation. Because if you're going into a World Cup tournament, you need your players to be playing very well. In fact, our criteria for selection, and I think Carlos Queiroz also mentioned that, which wasn't too clear, but going by what Otoado was always doing in terms of how he was calling players, it has always been playing actively at your club level. But here we are, that one of our key players, yes, we all know what Thomas Partey can do in the national team, but of course, you also need that competitive match fitness that you'll be playing week in, week out at your club level. But that is not happening for him currently. So aside from all that he's dealing with off-field, he also have on-field issues that he's dealing with, where he's not getting much playing time at his club, which makes it very, very serious. And I've heard people say what will be in our interest, will be in our best interest, will not be to send him to the World Cup, because the English press will target him and will.
That's true.
They will target him going into our game. Carlos Queiroz in his pre-match presser to the Ghana game, a Ghana against England game, will have 80% of questions directed to him about Thomas Partey. Morally, if it's right for him to be in a team. We all know how Attoh and Arsenal got questioned even after he left, when he was his name finally came out that he was the player in question. Questions were asked that, so why were Arsenal playing if they knew all these? And I'm sure definitely articles, commentary, and things that will be said prior to the game against England at the World Cup will largely be about Thomas Partey, whether Ghana made the right decision to take him to the World Cup. If you look at all these things, on the footballing side, of course, you want to take Thomas Partey to the World Cup, but we can also not lose sight of that aspect as well. So, and that's not my area to, get into. I believe that there are people that will take these decisions and will look at the benefits and, the disadvantages for Ghana going into the World Cup. So I just hope that we'll make the best decision out of everything that is happening regarding Thomas Partey.
Well,
Listen, not I know I know. Maybe forgive my poor etiquette, but I want to pick on what Benedict said. For a moment, I forgot about the character of the English press. For a moment, but maybe because he's embedded in there now, it's right there. For a moment, I forgot. Look, the English press will fry us and they will take advantage of any minuscule opportunity that they have on our team to psychologically beat us before we walk in there. Listen, what's the track record between Ghana and England? The last time we played England, I was at Wembley. Asamoah Gyan, no, did the do. And these English boys can't even cast their mind back. Was it Australia 93? Where under 20, Gago Mohammed's team and co. So England don't have such a fantastic memory of playing against Ghana, by the way. So they are going to find any means necessary to get into our heads and get under our skin. Now that Benedict mentions, maybe we should drop Partey. Look, he's not at the peak of his career. His legs are aging. He has a case. Now it's no secret. Everybody knows it's Partey. Crown Court dates, this, that. That press conference will be nothing about football, and it will be all about Partey. We know how they do their press conferences. Even with the Ishako Jordan case, I can see an English media man at a World Cup press conference saying, Mr. Queiroz, even though Carlos knows them, he's dealt with them, but I can see it, Mr. Queiroz. How do you play players who have been relegated and they're in the third tier of the English Premier League, and you're going to play with Hurricane, who is the highest goal scorer? How do you think you're going to manage it? And they are going to push that agenda, and they're going to squeeze it. And then if he's going to do that presser with Jordan, woe betide. If he's going to do that presser with Jordan, who is the Capito, they are going to ask Jordan a direct question. I know the English press. And Jordan, you've had a very disappointing season. You've had a very poor season. You didn't score that. You used to be last 2 seasons you were Leicester's player of the season, but this season you haven't had it. You are down. How do you compare with your colleagues? Are you sure you are up to being? They are going to get into his head and start asking him questions that when he gets into bed, he's going to even ask himself psychologically, am I fit to be here in the US at the World Cup?
And of course, but
honestly,
when that comes up, when these
Benedict has brought this to my mind.
Very good. But when these things come up, obviously, it also will rest on his experience and having had that longevity in the English Premier League.
Look, how many times has Jordan been at an English press conference? Look, how many times? Those guys are vultures. Have you know it not? We've been there before. Where's my friend who is at BBC now?
George
Attoh Jr. We were at Unveiled together doing a presser. Massa, the questions that they ask, if you are not tough, if you haven't been there, you crack. You will crack.
Very well.
I hear you. I mean, on second thoughts, I'm asking myself, should we really take Partey?
Okay. Let's take the thoughts of Maurice Kwanzaa. Maurice is... He is a very well-decorated senior sports journalist and is the former Vice President of the Sports Writers Association of Ghana and also the editor of the Graphic Sports. It's online and it's physical as well. Maurice, good to have you on the show. Papa Toki.
Good to have you, Nat, regards to my colleague panelists.
Great stuff. I'm sure you've been following the conversations at this point and, all of these questions about material and what realistically is available to Carlos Queiroz to use to turn the fortunes of the Black Stars around. Because after everything is said and done, that's where the conversation ends. How he's able to use what he has available to him to get the job done, even though we may not be the highest in terms of ratings.
Good afternoon. It's going to be a very difficult thing for Carlos. His experience, they don't come more experienced than he has. But these are not ordinary times. He had to come in at the 11th hour. But in football, we've seen some super subs coming and they change things and then sometimes scoring, winning goals, and that's basically what we are praying. But his work, he has his work cut out. We don't have the luxury of time. He's going to name his provisional squad before he really sits to work with them on the field to drill down his philosophy. You know, it takes time for coaches to get used to their players and then the players to get used to their coach's philosophy. You try them in various roles, formation, and you see where they are best suited, which partnership works. So I'm sure now, as he said at his press conference, he's going to listen and access a lot of data. That's why they retain members of the old backroom staff. I'm sure they are going to sit and discuss, analyze things. He's bringing his own performance analyst as well, and it's not going to be easy. The other thing, my worry also is that we don't have some of our key players in the best of shapes. Mohamed Kudus, for instance, is out, injured. We have the likes of Salisu also out. And so we've got to make do with what we have. So they are going to really sit and then make some real good judgment and take the right decision. Sometimes these things work, but we know that we are going to play in a group that has England. England, the last few World Cups, at least you know they always get to the semi-final. You look at Croatia, World Cup after World Cup, getting to the last four. They got some of the finest players individually and as a collective. And so we are still trying to develop an identity, get back our rhythm. We are not scoring goals. We are conceding a lot. We don't have very disciplined defense. We need to build a winning culture. How many friendly matches do we have before the World Cup? So it's really not going to get easy. I am hoping we'll be able to get through the group stages. The last two World Cups, 2014, 2022, we crashed out at the first round. This time it's an expanded World Cup, 48 teams, and the way it is, you can win one match and then still qualify. So for me, I think we need to prepare well, take it match after match. We have an experienced gaffer, some experienced players. Let's see how we get the best out of it. But my expectations are measured. I'm hoping that we can get out of the group stage, but my expectations are really measured.
And so now the tough one. Can you reposition yourself? We're getting a bit of wind in your in the sound. Thank you. Now, Morris. So if we go to the World Cup and it happens that we come back after the group stage, come back home after the group stage as well, then obviously we wouldn't really go blaming the coach as we would normally do, right?
No, I mean, definitely. That's why the excitement around Carlos Queiroz is that this time we are not questioning the credentials of our coaches. So previously people will ask, who is a Milo? Who is a Ratomir Djokovic? Who is a Goran Stevanovic? People know Kwesi Appiah, but will be wondering whether he has what it takes to take us to the World Cup. But this time, this is a proven coach at club level and international level. He's gone to the World Cup before. The only thing is that he doesn't have the luxury of time. We are not fortunate and we get knocked out, then the FA and Carlos will need to talk and see whether they are long-term, they can agree on long-term goals, because we need somebody to really work this transition, because hopefully after the World Cup, the likes of Partey, the likes of Jordan, we need to find a very good way to phase them out. Phasing players out is something we've not done very well, but we need to do that and rebuild for the long term. targeting first the AFCON, and then we look at the World Cup. Because once you're able to get your AFCON right, it becomes a transition into the World Cup, becomes smooth. But we need to keep an eye on the AFCON. The AFCON doesn't bring money like the World Cup, so we are always fixated and focused on finding ways to qualify for the World Cup. But we need to move stepwise. One step, we need to see how best we can get back to win the World Cup. The AFCON, the last time we won was 1982. None of the players in the team was born then. Now we got to 2010, 1992, 2010, 2015, we got to the final. Now we should find a way of getting a team that has a winning mentality, and let's see how it can translate into success at the AFCON level, and then we scale it up to the World Cup.
All right, Morris, we're very grateful to you for the thoughts, and let's see how things go. It's a very interesting time we find ourselves in. Very interesting period. Let's just see. But the final one, Morris.
Yes.
What about giving space for the surprise element? I always ask this question. Anybody who always listens to me is accustomed to this. That in all of this, there should be some room as well for for possibly, because like you said, I mean, the format of the World Cup makes it slightly more, more convenient when you want to qualify. And so it's easier, now compared to previously. So what about the surprise element? Maybe, just maybe,
Well, let's see how. You see, it's an expanded World Cup 48. In my humble opinion, I don't think some teams deserve to be there. But now you see that football, we are having, it's flatter. Previously, we will not talk about Capo Verde and all those things, but they are all there. So now let's see whether they have the big match temperament. They all have fine individual players, some play in the first tier or second tier leagues in Europe. So they have talents like we have. What they've not been able to do is to have a very solid unit. But the World Cup, I mean, it's a high-stakes environment. You are almost sure which teams will get to the quarterfinal, semi-final. So you talk about the England, the Brazil, unfortunately, Italy is not qualifying for the test time running. But the Argentina. But today we have a certain Morocco team that's playing, that's world class. DR Congo is also doing well, because when you look at them from the AFCON to the qualification, we have Senegal and perhaps Egypt, and who knows, maybe Ghana might be the surprise element, because even back when we don't have so much faith in the team, but we still have some 47 days or so to go to kick off, and maybe a little over 50 days for our opening match against Panama. In between that time, a lot can change. A lot can change.
A lot can change. Thank you. Thank you very much, Morris. Morris
Always
Kwanzaa.
my pleasure.
Thank you, Papa Toki. All right, so we just heard the thoughts of Morris Kwanzaa. He also admits that, look, it's a very complex situation, but then, it could just work. I mean, it could just work. But when was the last time you saw any team that was not really organized in terms of form and all of that at this stage perform that greatly at the World Cup? That's another very, very big question indeed.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Inko Joseph sends a message. He says, this is the time Thomas Partey needs us the most. Mr. Johan Amorin says, I don't know why we should be worrying our minds about the English press concerning Partey. How many of us even read the English press? Secondly, our coach and Jordan don't need to answer their questions. Okay. Mr. Amorin says, you know something, ignore them. Because, look, it's all part of
it.
the...
And where did he end?
Well,
Amorin, where did he end?
Well, interesting days indeed. Still here on the Joy Sports Link, where in the final lap, All right, so we're joined by Black Stars legend and coach Augustine Ahimfo. Augustine Ahimfo is a legend of the Olympics. He has a bronze medal at the Olympic Games. He's played at the under-17 level, won the biggest laurel there at the global stage, and of course, it has been contributing to the discourse when it comes to conversations around the game. He joins us this afternoon for some brief thoughts as we get towards the finish line. Thank you very much, Senior Augustine, for joining us.
Thank you, Nat, for having me.
Great stuff. So we're here. We are now here. We've done the necessary switch over, and we're good to go. But there are little issues that come up regarding the tested hands that Coach Carlos Queiroz has to use as we go forward. What are your thoughts? How much water can we squeeze out of stone, especially considering all of the circumstances around our team at this time?
Thank you, Nat. Let me say hello to Kojo, my brother, and Ghanaians. We've always been here, Nat.
Tell me.
He said we are here, so I said we've always been here. Unless, of course, this, by the way. I think that we sacked our coach, or we relieved the coach of his position, and we needed a coach or to somebody to take the team. And we've signed a very experienced coach, which is good for Ghana for now, because we need a father figure to put the boys together. And so for now, I think that the FA has hired right, but the time, like I heard your other colleagues say at the studio, we don't have enough time. So we'll have to make do with the players that we have, and also make sure that he's able to blend them together. I heard the coach say that selection will be based on merit. Of course, yes. But between now and he makes his final selection, what really can he do? I think there are players that have taken part in the qualifiers. Those players should be the core of the team, playing body. And so we have to look at those players first and then make some additions. So basically, that is what we are supposed to do.
Coach, he's also, maintained the core. I mean, everybody within the backroom staff. I mean, there was a very big worry ahead of the appointment that, the likes of John Paintel, Fatal Dawda and the like would all lose their jobs, because the normal practice, or what we've known conventionally, is that when coaches are given such jobs, they come in with their own team to help them. But obviously, institutional memory counts, and especially considering the circumstances, isn't it? Senior Augustine, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So I'm asking about the maintaining the backroom staff, and how much of an advantage that could also have regarding delivery on the job for Queiroz.
There's not much he can do about that. I think he wanted to actually maybe get involved immediately, as in know from those who have been with the team as to the way forward. The question we can also ask, that all these people that you've mentioned, what did they also bring on board concerning the previous coach that we just sacked? Because I don't think the performance of the team was solely based on one person. If we are supposed to win as a team and lose as a team, then obviously when it does not go right, we should all be responsible. I heard my brother Kojo earlier on speak about Attoh. And I asked myself that Kojo was part of the people that hired Attoh, the committee put together that hired Attoh. What I want to know is that what really went on during the discussions before he was hired. If we talk about discipline, and so the player camp was that discipline in Qatar, and recently, based on what Eli told him, there was no discipline in camp. I beg to differ on that. I really don't, I didn't get where he was coming from. If you say discipline in camp, what are you really referring to? So I want to know that what really went into the argument or the search that brought the former coach that we just sacked? What levels of conversations went on? What did he put on the table? What was his goal for the team? So we can't just narrow it down to just because the camp, they were not disciplined. If somebody is disciplined or not disciplined in camp, what is the person doing in camp that you can term as undisciplined? So these are questions that we need to be asking ourselves, those of us involved in football and all. We can't say that Attoh came and Attoh alone has failed. When he was doing the job and it wasn't going well, what was the advice?
99.7 FM.
What was the meetings that was held with him to let him understand that, listen, where you are heading towards, it is not going right. What did we do? At a point in time, there was a press conference that he had a banter with a journalist, which for me, I told him personally that it wasn't right to engage a journalist in an argument, in a presser, and then you ask the journalist that I have scouted for so months, I have coached for so you see me as what? And the journalist tells you that I see you as a scout. So these are red flags that the people handling the Dasha team should have noticed immediately to either make a change or improve on. It is not only about hiring people to come and support him. No. The people the guys that were being hired to support Attoh, what was their pedigree? To come in to augment what Attoh had. It's hard time when issues like that come, we sit as a team and analyze what actually we've done right or wrong. And then we can either improve on the right ones and then correct the wrong ones. But we don't do that. We only look at one side of the coaches should go. Who are the people who are hiring the coaches? Are they all right and the coach alone is wrong? How was he hired? These are questions we need to be asking ourselves. Not.
Very well. Senior Augustine, we're very grateful to you. Augustine Ahimfo is a former striker of the Black Stars and played at various levels of national team football. He's an Olympian as well, and he's won laurels for Ghana, bringing his thoughts to the conversation. So Benedict would wrap things up for us this afternoon. Benedict, time always is not our best friend in times like these, but all said and done, we're here, like I said, and that's the bottom line of the conversation, isn't it?
Yes, that's the bottom line of the conversation. As I made mention earlier, all we need to do is get the communication right, let people understand what we want to do, where we're going. It's a World Cup. We all want the team to do well, but let's not set any unrealistic target for ourselves, judging from what we have now and what we currently, where we are in terms of a new coach coming in and the timing and all of that. If we do that consistently and let people buy into it with a few weeks remaining to the World Cup, I think if we go and things do not go well, people will not be in arms like they did when we lost 5-1 to Austria and then lost to Germany. We will take it and then come back and regroup and try and look forward to the future, because this team has the potential. If we get a good coach as we have now, we have the potential to go on and do greater things after the World Cup. My only concern will have to be with the communication. If we get the communication right and let people buy into whatever we're going to do, I think we should be fine.
Sums up the conversation. Whether or not we have trouble, we have to find the electric energy for the Black Stars. From the fans through to the technical team and the players themselves. Whether we like it or not, the national anthems will be sung, we wear the jerseys, and we'll have to honor all of those three games. What we make of them is our own business. We're grateful to Kojo Adai Mensah seasoned pundit, columnist, and also CEO of Data Bank, being here with us in the studio and from a distance from the center of the UK, Benedict Owusu, former GJA Sports Journalist of the Year. Charlie, your post plenty. Benedict. Also, another man of accolades, Augustine Ahimfo, Coach Augustine Ahimfo. He's a CAF licensed A coach as well. He won many laurels for Ghana as well in football. And Morris Kwanzaa. Thanks to the whole team. And as we always do as tradition here, I hand over to Joy Entertainment to bring us all the big conversations between now and 6 p.m. mixed with amazing music and your views as we always do. Thank you all so much for being a part of this. Once again, we salute the Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Julius Debra. Happy birthday to you, sir. Hey, and during the weekend, also for Mami Michaela Anderson Nye celebrated a birthday as well. Charlie, now also the now do birthday.
18th May.
Oh, I see.
18th May.
17 days after May Day.
Exactly.
We shall establish a special jar
promise what you're giving to me on my birthday.
Don't worry. Me, I make assurances. I don't make. Oh. Why? You the fear?
I the fear.
You don't fear.
I the fear.
There's some coffee brown leather bag. When you see it, you know you'll be smiling. Eh? Is it the lotteries advert from way back that says you'll be smiling? Eh?
Yes.
With David Dotto.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes. But with you, I doubt if I'll be smiling.
Oh, don't fear. I'll be
smiling.
How many weeks do we have to May 18?
How many weeks?
You see? You see, mathematics. Charlie, what are we up to this afternoon?
This afternoon, we are hanging out with Clint the Drunk.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, Nigerian comedian.
Amazing.
He's passing through this afternoon.
Oh, great stuff. Great stuff.
And then we are reviewing one gospel song that has become very popular after Adum Kiki and Jometo did a rendition of it.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're doing a review of that song this afternoon on Music Lab. You can sing, wow. Or you can hum.
I was a super singing voice back in the time.
You were.
But, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, the casa.
When you were you. Where were we?
Charlie, you have a good one.
Thank you.
Kwame Dazi and the rest of the team coming up very shortly with Showbiz A to Z with a man with the platinum fingers, DJ Wobete, the highest paid DJ in this side of town, on the turntables. Big salutes to all of you. Keep it here on Joy 99.3.